Chapter 137. The sun was turning the sky red, but there were still guests in the first prince palace. He was the householder of the Baraport family, one of the famous vassal families of Anjanas and the younger brother of the empress. Luigi Anjanas let out a stifled sigh, rubbing his fingers around his tired eyes. The Baraport's lord, who was sitting next to him, also took a hint and quenched his sore throat with alcohol. You two look tired. Let's stop now, shall we? Astana told Luigi and Baraport's lord. But Luigi shook his head. No, there's still a lot of stuff we need to study. Luigi Anjanas and Baraport's lord were now helping Astana prepare for the conference 2 days later. No, to be honest, it was like giving the answer to a question on the test in advance. The general view on the important issues to be addressed at the conference and what the indigenous forces would argue were all informed in advance. Um, but Astana was yawning and unable to resist boredom, obviously quite motivated at first, but he quickly lost interest as complicated political content poured out. At the request of the Empress, they had been teaching Astana from 1 to 10 for several hours, but Luigi's patience was also running out. Your Highness. Eventually, Luigi called Astana in a stern voice. Don't forget that the second prince will attend the next conference. Astana frowned at the words of Luigi and Janus. Then Baraport's lord, sitting next to him, glanced at the liquor and said in an obnoxious voice, so, what does that have to do with his boring study? The second prince is a smart man. You can tell just by him graduated from the academy with the highest rank. He will probably leave a good impression on his majesty and the nobility at the conference. Luigi drew up the last bit of patience and spoke as if he were exhorting. But Astana did not change his attitude. What's the difference if the lowly man acquires the favor of his majesty and the nobles with a few words? Of course. You think he's a threat to me? Luigi and Janus shut up instead of answering. It was because Astana's eyes looking at him were shining dangerously. It was as if he were looking at a bad-tempered hunter who had set a trap. At that time, Baraport, who was looking around, said tactfully, but if the first prince makes a statement that digs into the issue, everyone will look up to you. That's not bad. Astana rolled his eyes wide once and said, then don't try to explain everything boringly, but speak more briefly. What is the issue and what should I say? Astana was thinking of memorizing the correct answers and reciting them. Taking this opportunity to give Astana a proper political lesson, Luigi and Janus took a deep sigh inside. The most important issue at this conference will be the story of the Eastern trade route. Eastern again? Astana asked irritably. The East is always in trouble. There's always something to complain about. It was an independent kingdom just a few generations ago, so it's still a very demanding area. It's also because it's difficult to trade smoothly because the land route to the east is far away and has to pass through rough mountainous regions. Well, then, they have to try harder and melt into the empire. There's a lot they want every time on that subject. That's exactly what our Angenas would argue about. Oh, really? The East has increased trade volume with the Central to facilitate a cultural exchange under the imperial order, but the trade routes are rugged, raising the problem that the tops of the empire sell goods at higher prices only in the East. What do they want? For the next 10 years, the imperial family wants to provide annual subsidies to the East every year. As Tana jumped, as Luigi explained in a calm voice, what a bunch of thieves. Eastern isn't the only place in the empire that has tricky trade routes. It's a very selfish and unreasonable request to get to the north. We have to cross the mountain range as tough as the east. The Baraport's lord helped from the side. Astana already had a slightly confused look on his face, so Luigi Angenes said it as simple and easy to understand as possible. Your Majesty can point out what Baraport's lord said a little while ago and argue that the benefits to the east are already sufficient, so it is right to divert trade subsidies to the north. Why do we have to go north? Shouldn't we not lose to the east for this? There are a lot of jobs in politics where you have to choose either side. In that case, it's right to make a thorough choice for your ally. For your ally. We, Angenas, need the help of the Ivans in the north for the development project. So this time we're taking care of the north. It's definitely a great opportunity to take credit, as Ivan's deputy will be attending the conference as well. Luigi and Baraport's lord alternately explained. What about the East? I was told that I needed the consent of all local representatives to be appointed as crown prince. We can take care of them through other things next time. Besides, they are such closed groups that they are not too involved in several and central affairs. Even more sensitive issues such as the appointment of the crown prince. Perhaps they will quietly follow the opinions of His Majesty and the rest of the empire. Well then, Astana shrugged and said, so it's almost over. No, there are still a few more important issues on the agenda. I only need to know the most important thing. No, you have to be prepared for it this time. If you're too tired, well, come back tomorrow. He can't believe he has to do this again tomorrow. At the words of Luigi and Janus, Baraport's lord was depressing but still shut up. Tomorrow, I'm going to see a business briefing or something in Devon tomorrow afternoon. I'll ask the first prince tomorrow too, Luigi. Empress Rabini walked in with an elegant smile. But the Empress did not look back at Astana. She went on to tell his younger brother Luigi and Janus, "The first prince will not go to the Devon tomorrow. Why don't you come early in the morning and start the class again?" "Oh, mother," Astana yelled in protest. But it didn't work. Empress Rabini said, still smiling, but looking at Astana with cold eyes somewhere. "It's apparently a gathering of lowly nobles or lowly merchants who can't get what they want. There's no need for a prince to go up to that sort of place." If in fact it was Sarah's request not to let Astana attend the Devon business briefing. "But I want to go. Prince, are you going to ignore this, mother?" It was the image of his mother whom he had always feared, but suddenly rebelliousness rose in Astana's mind. "Why should I listen to my mother? Why does everything need my mother's permission? The first prince of this empire is not my mother. It is me." Astana nodded helplessly, as if he knew what was going on. And watching the Empress's fierce expression, slightly radiated and asked, "So, my mother won't be there?" "Of course, I'm having a big luncheon and dinner after a long time. It is my duty as Empress to make sure that nobles can be united and harmonized." "You must be busy," Astana said, holding back his natural laughter. "It's just a briefing session, a sneak peek." It was easy to escape the palace without being noticed by knights. "I'll hear some nagging later. But what's my mother gonna do?" Astana was not afraid of the Empress anymore. "That's right, so shouldn't you study hard and please me, first prince?" Astana replied at Empress Rabini's words with a gentle smile. "Yes, mother." Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Devon's mansion was wide open to all visitors. This business briefing was an unfamiliar concept for everyone. However, at the end of the invitation, many aristocrats took a step toward the word, a banquet to introduce a completely new way of purchasing. And what was different about this business briefing was that many non-noblemen merchants were among the visitors arriving one after another. Who attended the event as Monarch Top's owner, was one of them. The same was true of his relationship with His Highness Second Prince and Florentia Lombardi, who is leading the new business of transportation in Lombardy this time. Above all, it was a curiosity that led Nosier to visit. He wanted to know what delivery was all about. Nosier and others, as they got off the carriage and entered Devon's banquet hall, were greeted with bright smiles by Lombardy's transportation staff. "Good afternoon, welcome. Here's a quick drink. This way, come in." Unlike the usual banquet, Nosier took a drink with a curious face and went inside. The atmosphere of the banquet hall was very lively, with exciting music that lightened the place. It was a completely different atmosphere from other banquets, usually held in the middle of the night. The inside was especially bright, with all the curtains removed, and the sunlight shining through the banquet hall, and the bright lighting that lit up the large space. Another group of Lombardy's transportation staff approached Nosier, who looked around. "Please take the booklet." It was a very thick little booklet, politely handed to people's hands, and the booklet had three large bookmarks: Lombardy Scholarship Foundation, Lombardy Top, Pellet Corporation. He thought this was a business briefing for Devon. A friendly voice spoke to Nosier, who tilted his head and looked through the booklet because he didn't know about it. "Hello, I'm Florentia Lombardi. Do you have any questions?" "Ah, this is Florentia Lombardi." Nosier stared blankly at the attractive beauty of dark brown hair and green eyes for a while. When he came to his senses, he barely moved his mouth to ask questions. "What is this booklet? From what I can tell, it looks like there's an explanation of the artwork and products." "You are right. That what is written in the booklet is a list of products. This is a list of items that can only be purchased by those using Lombardy delivery." "Only through Lombardy delivery?" Nasir's shaky eyes swiped the contents of the booklet again. Then Florentia added a kinder explanation to him. The Lombardy Scholarship Foundation contains a list of works by new artists who have just begun their work. "What is a delivery service?" "Delivery is a new way of purchasing that delivers your order to your doorstep anywhere in the empire, right to the door." "Yes, that's right." Nozier's heart pounded when he saw the face of Florentia smiling broadly. It wasn't because she looked pretty, it was because the blood of Nozier as a merchant was boiling. His instincts were speaking. This delivery business is awesome, and he felt impatient, not like a merchant with long years of experience. "I'm Nozier from the Monarch Top. I'd like to know more about this delivery business. What should I do?" "Ah, the Monarch Top." Florentia's eyes looking at Nozier passed a different look than before. Then again she smiled politely and pointed to another room on the other side of the door. "There's a room for the people from the top. This way, please." Florentia took the lead, followed by Nozier. Then two people sat face to face at a small table on one side. "Well, you must be very busy, Lady Lombardi." "For me, another employee." "No," Florentia shook her head. "For some reason, I'd like to explain it to you myself." Her green eyes, smiling like that, shone exceptionally brightly.